Welcome to our channel. Listen to short audiobooks every day and improve yourself.
George Stephanopoulos, The Situation Room, The Inside Story of Presidents in Crisis. Deep within the White House, there's a room, a space that bears the weight of national security decisions and global diplomacy. This is the Situation Room, the nerve center where U.S. presidents and their advisors confront the world's most pressing crises. It's a place of round-the-clock vigilance, equipped with advanced communication tools and staffed by a dedicated team that manages the constant flow of critical information. The Situation Room has witnessed every pivotal moment of modern American history, from Cold War tensions to the conflicts unfolding today. It's here that strategies are crafted, alliances are tested, and the fate of nations is often decided. This room's significance has evolved over decades, adapting to new challenges and technologies while remaining a cornerstone of presidential decision-making. You'll learn about the relationship between the Situation Room and 5 of the 12 U.S. presidents listed in Stephanopoulos' book. We'll cover the origins of the Situation Room during the Cold War, its crucial role in managing crises like the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Vietnam War, and its adaptation to modern challenges, including the Reagan assassination attempt and the chaos of the Trump administration. You'll explore how this iconic room has shaped and been shaped by the presidents who've depended on it. Let's start with a look at how the room came to be in the first place, during the turbulent period of the Cold War. The birth of the White House Situation Room. In the early 1960s, the White House Situation Room, a now vital nerve center for presidential decision-making, was born out of necessity and historical circumstance. The impetus for its creation can be traced back to Godfrey McHugh, an Air Force brigadier general and close confidant of President John F. Kennedy. Known for his charm and connections, McHugh introduced Kennedy to the concept of a centralized command center, pivotal in managing Cold War crises. The term Situation Room first surfaced in a 1961 military study titled Concept for National Cold War Operations. This document, forwarded by McHugh to Kennedy, proposed a dedicated room within the executive staff to handle the increasing complexities of Cold War intelligence and operations. The recommendation was timely. Just 10 days later, the Bay of Pigs invasion highlighted the urgent need for improved communication and decision-making processes. The Bay of Pigs invasion, a CIA-led attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro in April 1961, was a debacle. The operation's failure showed severe lapses in communication, with decisions relayed through unclassified lines and a disorganized chain of command. Kennedy's frustration with the outcome and the process spurred him to action. He recognized the need for a centralized location where real-time, secure information could be efficiently managed. On April 30th, 1961, less than 2 weeks after the invasion, Kennedy ordered the creation of the Situation Room. The construction, overseen by the Navy's Construction Battalion, transformed a basement bowling alley into a 4-room complex within a week. The initial setup, though basic, included essential features such as secure communications and briefing facilities. Despite its rudimentary state, it quickly became a focal point for managing crises. The Situation Room's value was soon proven during the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962. As U.S. reconnaissance revealed Soviet missile sites in Cuba, the Situation Room provided President Kennedy with critical, real-time information. The facility's ability to quickly relay Khrushchev's decision to remove the missiles, broadcast via Radio Moscow, showcased its indispensable role in high-stakes decision-making. Initially staffed primarily by CIA personnel, the Situation Room operated around the clock, with duty officers working 24-hour shifts. Over time, its operations expanded to include staff from various other national security agencies as well. The room's purpose was not to command, but to serve as a conduit for all classified information, ensuring the president and his advisors were well informed. It provided a centralized, efficient, and secure hub for handling critical information, fundamentally enhancing the decision-making process during emergencies. This innovation, born out of the Cold War's demands, continues to play a crucial role in U.S. national security operations. Johnson's midnight vigil over the Vietnam War. In the early hours of May 20th, 1965, while most of Washington, D.C. was asleep, the White House Situation Room was buzzing with activity. This scene captures the essence of President Lyndon B. Johnson's administration, where the Situation Room became the nerve center for managing the Vietnam War. President Johnson depended heavily on the room, often calling for updates at all hours, driven by an insatiable need for detailed information. These calls, recorded on dictabelt machines, captured his inquiries about various aspects of the conflict, things like casualty figures and the status of aircraft returning from missions. For instance, on March 30th, 1965, at 8:10 a.m., Johnson inquired about casualties in Saigon, showing his need to be immersed in every detail of the war. The toll of the war on Johnson was evident. His national security advisor, Walt Rostow, noted that Johnson's days were split into 3 parts: active mornings, social evenings, and late-night reading and calls. His daughter, Lucy Baines Johnson, explained that he feared missing crucial information that could save lives. This need for constant updates often led to anguished, sleepless nights. Johnson's deep involvement contrasted sharply with his predecessor, JFK, who rarely used the Situation Room. LBJ, however, spent significant time there, even having his Oval Office chair moved for comfort. Historian Mark Updegrove compared Johnson's use of the Situation Room to FDR's use of the map room during World War II. It was a crucial element to LBJ's administration. The Situation Room's technology, cutting edge for its time, included secure phones and fax machines. Despite budget constraints limiting extensive upgrades, essential improvements were made, such as installing a secure communications enclosure. The room also played a crucial role during the Six-Day War in 1967, when Johnson used the infamous Moscow-Washington hotline to communicate directly with Soviet Premier Alexei Kosygin. This marked the first significant use of the hotline and helped de-escalate the conflict, preventing a potential nuclear confrontation. Johnson's reliance on the Situation Room underscored its role as a critical tool for presidential decision-making. His frequent use of the room showcases the pressures of wartime leadership and the importance of having a centralized, secure hub for real-time information. This innovation was crucial during the Vietnam War and the Six-Day War, but as you'll see in the next section, it also played a pivotal role in more domestic crises as well. Crisis management and leadership during Reagan's assassination attempt. At 2:27 p.m. on March 30th, 1981, President Ronald Reagan was leaving the Washington Hilton Hotel when the day took a dramatic turn. John W. Hinckley Jr. fired 6 shots, one of which ricocheted and struck Reagan in the chest. Secret Service agent Jerry Parr immediately pushed Reagan into the limousine, shouting, "Get out of here! Go, go, go!" Initially, Reagan seemed unharmed, but he soon collapsed after walking into George Washington University Hospital, triggering widespread confusion and panic. The White House, particularly the Situation Room, became the epicenter of crisis management. National Security Advisor Richard Allen made an unprecedented decision to record the Situation Room proceedings, providing a unique, unfiltered look at the reactions and decisions of Reagan's top aides during this critical moment. The recording began at 3:24 p.m., less than an hour after the shooting. Key figures in the Situation Room included Staff Director David Gergen, Treasury Secretary Don Reagan, White House Counsel Fred Fielding, and Secretary of State Al Haig. Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger and others joined shortly after. Vice President Bush was notably absent, en route from Dallas without a secure voice connection to the White House. The atmosphere was chaotic, with frantic, overlapping conversations as officials grappled with misinformation and debated who should communicate with the public. Press Secretary James Brady had been critically injured, adding to the confusion. Haig quickly assumed a position of control, famously declaring, "I am in control here," despite this not being constitutionally accurate. This statement added to the uncertainty and confusion. Concerns about the control of the nuclear football, the briefcase containing the codes for launching nuclear strikes, intensified the crisis. Haig's insistence on securing the football highlighted the high stakes and the uncertainty surrounding the chain of command. The tension escalated when reports of increased Soviet submarine activity off the East Coast reached the Situation Room, raising fears of a larger threat. Weinberger's decision to raise the alert level of the Strategic Air Command, despite Haig's public assurance that no alert measures were necessary, led to a heated argument between the two men. The recording also captured moments of humanity amidst the chaos, such as the mistaken report of James Brady's death and the subsequent moment of silence. Vice President Bush's eventual arrival brought a degree of calm, with his emphasis on restoring normalcy and composed leadership. This intense period highlighted significant gaps in communication and crisis management within the White House. The lessons learned from this day led to significant improvements in the Situation Room's infrastructure and operations, solidifying its role as the nerve center for managing national emergencies and ensuring better preparedness for future crises. In the eye of the 9/11 crisis. On the morning of September 11, 2001, the White House Situation Room staff faced an unprecedented crisis. The day began normally for Ed Padinsky, a senior duty officer who was taking his daughter to her first day of preschool. However, a sudden call alerted him to the unfolding disaster in New York City, prompting an urgent return to duty. Upon learning about the terrorist attacks, Padinsky rushed to the White House, where the Situation Room was quickly becoming the command center for the nation's response. Rob Hargis, another senior duty officer, had already coordinated efforts from within, understanding the crucial role they played in supporting President Bush. When NSC Executive Secretary Steve Biegun repeatedly insisted on evacuation, Hargis and his team chose to stay. Their presence was necessary for effective communication with the president. Meanwhile, Situation Room Director, Captain Deborah Lower, was with President Bush in Sarasota, Florida. She promptly briefed the president on the attacks and ensured secure communication channels were established. As Air Force One took off in a steep climb to avoid potential threats, Lower managed the critical links between the president and his key advisors, including Vice President Cheney and National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice. Throughout the day, the Situation Room staff handled numerous tasks, from fielding calls with global leaders to managing the flow of information. Hargis recalled the emotional impact of the dead list, a roster of those who would have perished had the White House been attacked. The commitment of the Situation Room staff extended beyond duty hours. Padinsky, who had left a Pentagon position just months earlier, learned that many of his former colleagues had died in the attack on the Pentagon. Despite personal losses, he and others focused on their mission, driven by a sense of duty and resilience. However, the events of 9/11 also revealed significant gaps in the White House's communication systems, prompting immediate and long-term upgrades. This included difficulty in maintaining secure and reliable communication lines due to overloaded phone systems, inadequate secure communication channels, and delays in relaying critical information from various intelligence and defense agencies. This led to instances where staff had to juggle between unverified reports and rapidly changing information, which inevitably caused confusion and delays in decision-making. The eventual improvements following these issues turned out to be crucial for future crisis management, ensuring more robust and reliable communication channels. In the days following the attacks, the Situation Room's relentless work exemplified dedication under pressure. Their actions ensured continuous support for the president, highlighting the importance of preparedness and resilience in the face of national emergencies. The experience fundamentally changed the White House's approach to crisis management, setting a new standard for future operations. Inside Trump's unorthodox White House. When Omarosa Manigault Newman was fired from her White House position on December 12, 2017, it wasn't just another dismissal. It was a spectacle that highlighted the Trump administration's unconventional approach to governance. Summoned to the Situation Room by Chief of Staff John Kelly, Omarosa was informed that her services were no longer needed due to significant integrity issues. This termination was secretly recorded by Omarosa using a concealed device, breaking security norms and shedding light on the administration's internal chaos. John Kelly's words were clear. A friendly departure would protect her reputation, a statement Omarosa later interpreted as a threat. She was held in the Situation Room for 2 hours, repeatedly denied permission to leave, even to retrieve her inhaler. Jeff Fowler, the senior director on duty, denied her claim, stating the room locks from the inside only. Omarosa's recording revealed more than just her dismissal. It exposed the lack of trust and security breaches within the Trump White House. The Trump administration was marked by a pervasive atmosphere of mistrust. Many within Trump's circle, including the president himself, frequently recorded conversations. Omarosa's incident was a striking example of this distrust, showing how even the most secure rooms were not immune to internal spying. The broader context of the Trump presidency was one of frequent chaos and disorganization. The administration cycled through 4 secretaries of defense, 4 directors of national intelligence, 4 White House chiefs of staff, and 5 secretaries of Homeland Security. Top officials like Rex Tillerson and James Mattis openly criticized Trump's competency and character. Tom Bossert, a Homeland Security advisor, described Trump as the least disciplined person he'd ever met. Even top aides often bypassed Trump to maintain some semblance of order. Trump also abruptly canceled a planned strike on Iran in June 2019, just as missiles were ready to launch, after a lawyer warned about potential casualties. This erratic decision-making process was symptomatic of his tenure, often influenced by the last person he spoke to. Insiders like Tom Bossert and John Bolton provided critical perspectives on Trump's behavior. Bolton, who served under multiple presidents, found Trump's lack of knowledge and unwillingness to learn especially troubling. This was in stark contrast to George W. Bush, who, despite initial gaps in foreign policy knowledge, made concerted efforts to understand and engage with the issues at hand. The use of the Situation Room during Trump's presidency was emblematic of the broader challenges his administration faced. Trust was in short supply, and established protocols were frequently ignored, leading to an environment where internal security and coherent decision-making were severely compromised. To The Situation Room by George Stephanopoulos, you've learned that the White House Situation Room is more than just a room. It's the heartbeat of American crisis management and decision-making. By covering 5 of the 12 U.S. presidents listed in the Situation Room, we got a glimpse into its inception during the Cold War, pivotal moments like the Vietnam War and 9/11 attacks, and even the tumultuous Trump administration, showcasing how the Situation Room has been at center stage for numerous history-shaping decisions. This space, humming with urgency and responsibility, continues to evolve, reflecting the dynamic nature of global politics. The legacy of the Situation Room is a testament to the vital role of effective leadership and real-time information in navigating the complexities of modern governance. Okay.